Okay, so here is the scene with, you know, it's a simple scene like from last week. I just did my own shapes just to show you what you're gonna do. You're gonna start with the scene from last week, okay? And in this case, I mentioned also in the 3D Max demo to not have floating environments, okay? Let's start practicing creating the illusion of a bigger environment, okay? You can do that by either zooming in, so I'm using my middle mouse there just to kind of zoom in on the scene, or if you still, you know, zooming and you don't want to cut things off, don't leave these edges over there and this background like that. Just grab that floor plane, and with your scale tool over here, just make it bigger. Make it bigger so that we do not see those edges there as a floating thing that is, you know, floating in the middle of nowhere. So that works, you know, to see, to just give the illusion of a bigger room perhaps, or a bigger landscape, okay? Um, as far as the background, you might notice that is completely black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go view, select camera, and over there I'm going to just minimize these and find the environment section over here. And on background color, I'm going to change that to maybe blue, maybe, you know, some kind of sky blue. And nothing happens over here on the viewport, but when you render, notice that now you have a nice blue shade on the background. So it's a good way to simulate, maybe there's the sky outside or there's a window. So let's start working on that for this assignment. I don't want to see, if you want to map a background image, that's great. You can just you know, create an image plane here, or make a you know, make a plane and set it up behind that area, and then map something on it. So that those two options will work just as fine, okay? As far as this assignment goes, I would like to see the use of some kind of textures on these objects. Remember the automatic option here for UV mapping. You can always use that as a quick way to map your objects. This object kind of resembles, it was made out of a sphere, so you could, you know, either try a sphere mapping, you know, see if that makes it work for you. Let's go on the Hypershade and let's apply a checker material. So I'm gonna go blend, and I'm going to, on the blend settings, let's minimize here, move away. On the color section here, I'm just going to map a checker texture just to make a test. And let's go back on the Hypershade and apply that to our object here, this one here. So you can right click, assign existing material, blend one, that will work. And for the shade mode, there it goes, that's the icon we need to see the shade, the shades. So you can always maybe go to you could either go UV and scale all these guys down. So I can just use the scale tool, scale those guys to kind of fit the default area, and this is basic UV mapping there. If the checker material is driving you insane, like it's to me, just turn it off over here, okay? And good. So we have, you know, usually, generally, you want to make that to be a little bit, you know, the repetition there to be a little bit oh, how you call it, a little bit more on the material, smaller checkers. That's what I'm trying to say. Why? Because the smaller the squares, then better you have the chances to spot any problems. So let's go to Hypershade, and I gotta remember I am on MAAA now. When I switch from 3D Max to MAAA, I get confused, and then when I go back, I get confused too. So let's go to where is color and UV coordinates. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Let's go to that node, and on the repeat UV, that's the part where it's going to kind of tile or repeat that placement of the UVs. You see how you get the bigger the number, the smaller the UVs get, the checker map gets. So I will repeat that a few times so that you have an idea whatever looks stretched or so. And you're not going to place checker maps there, but you're going to apply, but to test it, we usually in the industry do checker map tests, okay? So you can then now apply a material and apply a color, you know, the color attribute, you can apply a texture map with the UV maps worked out, okay? So as far as lights, you know, you will need to then also create some kind of lights. So I want to see lights and textures and lights with shadows, please, so that you can work on the scene, you know, for the goals for this assignment. So I'm just going to pretty much move my spotlight and okay, so let's render it. Let's see, you know, what's happening here. It kind of looks like we're not covering everything. Please do not confuse the coverage of the spotlight. You know, see how it covers, does not cover here with shadows. This is not shadow. This is areas that don't have any illumination on it. So let's just make that cone angle much wider so that it covers more of our scene, and render. You see that now it's looking a little better. Oops. Oh, my scene just crashed. So let me just stop for a moment. Okay, I'm back. The scene there decided to crash on me, so I just imported really quick from 3D Studio Max. So adding lights, let's just go create lights, and let's add again a spotlight. Let's move it up. If your handles are really tiny, just press the plus sign so that way you can see what happens there. For that, I've seen what's happening on real, you know, realistic viewport. Let's click the little icon there for showing the lights. That way you get a better idea. So let's see. Let's increase the cone angle. That's where our scene crashed earlier, and that's not exactly what we were planning on. But I'm just rotating my light, making sure we don't see any of that cone. Spotlights are great to mimic sunlight, right? So I'm moving it back. So there you go. Oh, that one is just, I'm gonna apply another material. Apply existing material, let's apply Lambert 1. Let's see how that works. Perfect. Yeah, that one had a checker map texture. I had to reapply it, so that's why it was showing black like that. Okay, so excuse me. So you have now a spotlight, but you do not see quite the shadows casting on that scene. You see darkness on the edges of that of those objects, but you do not see quite shadows going back back there. So let's go back to that light, and let's go window outliner, and this is one way to select your light. Let's go on the shadows option. Let's turn on use depth map shadows, okay, and let's see what happens. Now we have shadows, okay. Different lights favor different types of shadows. Sometimes if shadows don't show, it might be that you're using a shadow type that it's not supported. You might notice two things, and this is what I want you to keep in mind. Try to edit the shadow color, and it's right here on the shadow color, okay. See what happens when I make it a little more gray. You see the shadow does not become this black super defined surface that is just making everything super dark. So now we see through the shadows and they're lighter, so they suggest that the lights on the scene are probably a daytime scene. So that's in daytime scenes very very soft lighting day, you could use lighter shadows. Okay, the lighter the shadows, the lighter the scene will suggest that the light is. One thing that you might notice is a little bit of jagged edges over there, so just increase the resolution of that and make it 1024 and see what happens. They start getting a little bit sharper. Okay, you see it's like that. That the higher you go, the nicer and more defined the edge of the shadow. Just be careful with rendering, just save every time, because this number, increasing this number also creates more calculations on the software, which means that it could crash easier. So if you haven't used that auto backup option, make sure you do it right now. And it's on week 1. Just set it up so that the program saves automatically every 5-10 minutes or so, whatever you determine there. That way, if you have a computer crash or something on that line, you don't have to go back to your last saved version from the day before and you lose whatever you did that day. Okay, so that's pretty much the light decay. Let's turn it on. See what happens. Light decay starts working as a candle light. Remember, think about it as the light travels away from the flame on the candle, you will notice that the scene starts getting darker. So this is what just happened there. Whatever is closer to our spotlight, it's a little bit lighter. You see. So what you can do is maybe increase that, or you can try to use a different solution. Let's see which one works better. Some scenes favor different scenes. I mean different lighting solutions. Obviously, linear is the way to go. If if things get too dark, you might need to increase the settings on the intensity, because then that means that it kind of makes the light way too dark on the scene. Okay, it does have a direct relationship to the intensity on the scene. But notice how now we have much brighter on this side, and how we have just a little bit kind of darker corners over here, which suggests that the light is directly coming from here, rather than if we don't have anything. Let's see if we don't have anything, that light is going to be very bright. Okay, so that suggests a bigger, more massive light source, while this one suggests a small flame or a little flashlight on the wall. So you see the big difference that you can create with just light decay. Okay, so I want you to try these things. Add your light, add your shadows, work a little bit with the decay. So I want you to get familiar with it if you haven't. I want to see maps apply to the materials for the scene, maybe a brick wall, a wood wall. This is a practice exercise. Okay, I want to see a floor plane that is showing some kind of distance, not just a plane floating in the middle of nowhere. And also kind of edit the background as well. Okay, let me see. So get 3 different renders, and you just position your camera in different places, making sure that you can see everything that you would. I want to see that. If you need to move your light, get a low angle maybe, as if you were on the scene, high angle, So if you were looking down, or you know, maybe something interesting from this point of view, just play with the different angles. Make 3 different renders, okay? And discuss what the assignment, you know, talks about. You know, your thoughts on their efforts. And no, this is for um, for the discussion part. You're gonna include what you did for the assignment. This is what I meant to do. I would like to hear from you how you achieved it. You know, maybe I tried this, I tried that. You know, my idea was to do this. So just tell me what was going on. You know, as you were trying to do your designs, and remember to save it. I think that you guys already know how to do that. Just go File, Save Image, and from there just give it a name to whatever you want to save it to. Okay, so I hope this helps, and I apologize for that crash, and I look forward to seeing your projects next.